met a gypsy.
How did you go to get the funding for it as well? Because I just feel like that's probably one of the gnarliest challenges as well, is just it's such a underfunded industry, I guess, like free ride in a sense. So for you to pull that, like the funding together, like how did it come up? How did it come about?
Yeah, so it was really it was hard to pull funding in because it's a movie, you know, and it's kind of like a risk, and it's kind of a handshake deal almost. With obviously there's contracts, but you're kind of like, hey, this movie's gonna be huge, it's gonna be cool, and we have to build this jump to pull it off, and this jump's gonna cost 250 grand to build. And me and Jay, we really we had to kind of front a lot of the money to pull it, but we were so just grateful to have companies. DeVille is this vodka soda drink, and they came in and basically saved us at the end of the movie because we had to move that jump, and without DeVille coming in at the very end to help us, that whole thing probably might not have happened, because I was pretty much tapped out myself on funding stuff, and I know Jay was pretty over having to self-fund a lot of stuff to make the movie happen. And then we just have our whole lineup with Carson City Motorsports. They're out there by the jump. It's in Reno, so Carson City Motorsports helped out a lot. And then Margin RVs and Go Big Truck Performance. And if you look at the banner on my page, and you'll see throughout the whole movie, I mean, my brand helped out. And yeah, it was a lot, man. It cost a ton of money. And finally, the movie's completed, and we should be able to see some money come back. We're doing our own public premieres. So we're going to do one in LA, one in San Diego, one in Las Vegas, Reno, Nevada, up by Carson City, and maybe a Portland. And I heard we're definitely doing a Scottsdale, Arizona one. So, and these will be like fun with like live bands and, you know, jump shows, BMX 110 stuff, parking lot parties and after parties, and just a fun event. And, you know, I'd love for everybody to come out, watch the movie, and have fun, you know, and kind of do like an old school type premiere where everybody can get crazy and celebrate.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the cool things about doing a movie is just, yeah, you definitely, as much as I love the internet, as much as I love YouTube, like it's kind of where we're at, but just to have that old school feeling, like there is something super tangible about making a full-length movie, having the premiere, like having this hard copy that, you know, that's, I don't know, it just feels like that it's something that becomes like more of a real world thing than like just on a screen.
Yeah, and that's the trade-off with it. And it was definitely difficult because for Scranny and guys like that, and it's just hard because they're doing some of the biggest stuff they've done in their whole lives, and to keep it secret and not post it is it's a whole thing. And we had issues. We'd go out to spots and we'd spend 20 grand just on like it was equipment, renting the property, getting the helicopter lined up, getting Beverly Hills Aerials is a huge sponsor. Those guys are insane. Best drone FPV guys flying around with like 1,000 frame a second drones. I mean, we put all this together and we hire 5 red camera operators, and everybody's out there. We get the water truck. We're in like $25,000 or something on the shoot. We get Bierman to come out, Jared McNeil, Hillsack, you know, Adam Jones, and all that. You'll see all the riders in there, and it's like we pull all this off to get everybody together, and you know, and then nobody posts. Don't post anything, you know. Have riders show up, friends of friends or whatever, and then it's like, you guys realize that I just dropped like $12,500 on this shoot, and so did Jay, 50-50 on that, and you guys are not our boys. Our boys know the difference, but I'm talking about like some of the randoms that would come out, or just spectators that were happen to be friends of the truck drivers or whatever. And it's like they're posting stuff without asking, and we don't have service. We're out in the middle of nowhere, you know, free riding out like some big hills outside of Santa Barbara. And then the clips go on the internet and they start getting viral and reposted. It's just, it's a battle nowadays, you know what I mean, to make a movie. And I'm like, I want to post some of the stuff I did too, you know, but you got to wait. And all the writers collectively all had to wait. And yeah, it's a whole task, man, but it's just a dream come true to make a movie. And I kind of didn't know what to expect. I wanted to make kind of a lower end, like Crusty Demons, funny punk rock, like get music rights, still do iTunes deal, but just make something kind of like a modern day Krusty's. And working with Jay, he really stepped up, and he has such a high standard and such
Yeah.
a creative mind for making a movie, not just like kind of a YouTube style project, but more of like a this movie qualifies for Netflix, Hulu, and it has that feel like you're watching in like a HBO or like a Gold Rush on Discovery Channel feel when we're going for the jump, and just it's just such a high end project. I had no idea what I was getting myself into in the beginning. I figured, hey, let's invite some cool riders, get some cool cameras, you know, maybe get a chopper or whatever, rent it, and make a cool movie and get music rights and put it on iTunes. But it turned out to be like, you know, we need the biggest hard drives, the best computers to process it. We need a Titleist guy, motion effects. John DeTemple at Dink about it. I think his Instagram is that dude's the best. He made all of our titles, all of our motion graphics. We're just hiring so many people, and so many people are actually helping us out to do it too. That's where we scored with all Jay's connections and these filmers doing deals for us, and everybody's giving us deals, and it still was like even without our sponsors, we're still put in like close to $100,000 each, just funding everything, and I'm sure we'll get it all back, and that's a gamble in itself too, you know. But I think it also kind of just launched what could be a career in long distance jumping for me, and I think if you watch towards the end of the movie, you'll see what we were able to pull off with the team. Alex Harville's ramp and his coaches, and Ryan Capes' coaches, and that's all connections I met through Jay and all his guys, and just the radar guns with the right speed and the right numbers and the right ramp, and we got the landing figured out, and you'll see it's a whole process, but I think all in all, it's just one of those things, you know, you go for it, you gamble, and see what happens with the movie, and I think when it comes out, a lot of people are going to see a lot of cool stuff, and a lot of different like urban style riding stuff that you're not used to seeing, not like everyday free riding that in the dirt and dunes and that, but it's got all that, but it also has like illegal kind of like street skateboard BMX style stuff, jumping off roofs, and I think it's definitely like a, you know, progresses. It's showing like modern day progression of what free riding can become and what's happening with it and where it's going. And I'm just happy. I can't even believe it's my movie and it's all come together. And man, I'm just glad it's behind me now, and I can't wait to get started on the next project, you know, going bigger and jumping bigger stuff. And
dude, the soundtrack is impressive too. Like, I didn't know what to expect in the soundtrack in that kind of deal, because nowadays it's so hard to get like that level of music. And then it's like Offspring, Avenged Sevenfold. I was like, God damn,
no
the boys
effects,
ain't playing.
Slayer. We got TSOL. Avenged Sevenfold. Some 41s in there. A lot of big songs. So our soundtrack is insane too. Like I said, I can't believe we pulled it off with Jay's help and my kind of style and some of my creative mixed with his professional creative on stuff, and it's just a good mix, me and him working together, and you know, it shows. You'll see.
How does that music stuff work these days, like to license that? Like, do you know how much you guys would have spent on the soundtrack?
Oh yeah, music, man. I think it's up to like 50,000 or something in music, which is a steal. And it's a lot of relationship stuff. Like, if you were to reach out to Slayer and you're like, hey, I want your biggest song, and then they'd be like, okay, what's this for? Okay, 20 grand. But, you know, Kerry King, and, you know, we know people that know him, and with kind of like Jay's been in this game for 20 years, I think, maybe 30, I forget, but on the Pipe series and Moto Triple X before that, he was helping a lot with that. That's all connections through punk rock and bands know other bands. So with having those types of relationships through Jay, and you know, I've gotten hooked up from Suicidal with help from Militia and Link Ogle and stuff, and for Real Moto. But it all kind of just, it's like favors, you know, for the movie. A lot of people helped out. Filmers are giving us their homie rates, and just a ton of people. I mean, if you look at the credits, you'll have to actually like check them out, because those are the people that really helped us out a lot, you know.
Yeah. What was the first album that got you like into music?
I remember like I was saying, when I'm 4 years old watching Steel Roots, you know, I'd pop that in, because VCRs back then, you wanted to watch movies because it was better than what was on cable, you know. So Steel Roots 2, I watched that thing all the time. So Offspring, so my dad had an Offspring CD, and he always had huge subs in his truck hooked up and stuff. So we'd, you know, blast that. And Megadeth was one that stands out to me. Symphony of Destruction. That one, man, I still, like, I can play that so loud in my van, and it brings me right back to when I was a kid. And I mean, what else? I think my dad used to blast Limp Bizkit back when I was like 8, 7 years old.
So
and he'd try to turn it down before the cuss words, but like he'd miss it or whatever, and I'd be like, dude, this guy, Chocolate Starfish, you know, that was like that album. My dad would blast that, and when we'd go riding too, so he'd put on like I mean, later on it was like System of a Down and stuff, and we'd blast that going to the track, and then coming home, you know, we'd like Megadeth, and it just as loud as it could go, and it was so much fun, man. It felt like we were like in Steel Roots too, you know, listening to the same songs. I'm like, that's when McGrath does that knack knack and Ocotillo when they say that part of the song, and you know, so.
We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.